All right. Hello, everybody. It's the Meister, your favorite heavy metal drinking buddy. I am here tonight with Robert Mirabilio from TYRANNY. Great, awesome metal band from the 80s. We're going to chat a little bit about his career and rock and roll in general and go from there. So thank you so much, Robert, for joining me. I'm really appreciate it. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for having me.
Yeah, this is exciting. So why don't we talk about, why don't we start off with, if you don't mind, kind of go back in time, back to 87 with your
The white one
album.
you got. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is the second edition, right? Of the album.
Actually, there's a few. It was bootlegged in Mexico in Tijuana. They did a pretty good job back then, but we stopped them. And in a way, I look at it now that I wish I did not stop them because there'd be probably more of those available. But that started the band. I was originally in a band with Bill Ellsworth. And Bill Ellsworth is the son of Mr. Ellsworth that did Hee Haw.
Oh, wow.
Duke Ellsworth. And he got me into the music industry, basically. His mother was married to Lenny Stogel. That was the promoter of Cal Jam, which was a very big festival.
Yeah.
So I got into the music industry with Billy Ellsworth. We had a band called Flashback. And I learned about publishing. The late Nancy Ellsworth, his mother, gave me, I have TYRANNY Music BMI because of her. Pretty much the road to how and what you do in this industry. So I have to thank them very much for that. And what I did was move on. I wanted something a little bit heavier.
Mm-hmm.
We had a meeting at the time with Kenny Austin, with Atlantic Records, and we were going to sign with Atlantic. I was 18 years old at the time. Wow. Instead, we decided to indulge ourselves in chemicals, and one thing went to the next. And when we left and got back to Malibu, Nancy said, "So how did everything go?" And we proceeded to tell her, and she went through the roof. She said, You're kidding me. Like, do you know what I had to do to get you, to have this meeting? And oh God, it was bad. So I played with Flashback for about 1.5 years. And I decided I wanted to do my own thing. And I moved from Malibu for a brief period, which I was born and raised in.
Okay.
I live right now in Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks area, which is right 13 miles from Malibu. I really never moved from here. And I went to a little town called Grover City. It's right near Pismo Beach. I wanted to have my own band. I learned from Nancy what to do and what not to do. And I decided, well, I am going to go and do whatever I can and get myself in as many cities in the state of California and play. And that's what I did. I got together with an individual up there named Gary Timmons. He played the guitar. And my drummer that I knew from Malibu, Matt Chasen, was in a punk band called Don't Know. Recruited him. And I was trying to recruit this guy named Paul Saylor. My wife picks the phone up and says, "Paul's on the phone for you." And I'm thinking it's Paul Saylor because I was trying to get him to get in TYRANNY. It wasn't. It was Paul Van Alstyne, which should be credited on that album. And he's not. That person's name, Throbe, was a guy named David Clemens that kind of jumped on board. But I pick up the phone. It's Paul Van Alstyne. One thing led to another. We got together, and what we did is we would drive down every other weekend to rehearse in Malibu and Point Dume. And then every other weekend, they'd come up north to Santa Maria. where Gary's house was. And we did this for a year. It was crazy. Okay. Oh, Victor, I don't know too many people that I think would have that much dedication or stupidity to want to, drive that much to do what they did. But we did that. And in that time, we decided the first 3 months we were going to play the Battle of the Bands. And I was even thinking about this because I have all the like some flyers and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, we won second place. We got $500. And after that, we opened for Leather Angel in San Francisco.
Oh, nice.
It was a female band. Then we opened for Law's Rocket in Bakersfield. We started building momentum. Okay. We were selling out the Vets Hall in Santa Maria with over 1,000 people.
Sweet.
So I said, okay, let's put an album out. Mr. Van Alstyne, Paul's dad, helped us. He gave us a little bit of money. And I went to a place called AVCO, which is a finance center, and got a couple thousand from them. And we went to a place in Sun Valley, Perspective Sound, and recorded the Manipulator album. And at that time, I had already been speaking with Brian Slagle from Metal Blade. Brian was so good that when I would call, he would actually speak to me, which everybody else was telling me, yeah, what, I'm like, the guy, what are you talking about? He's right, just call him. Yeah. And they're like, we have, I'm like, well, I was like trying to get on Metal Massacre 3 or 4. And Brian's telling me, Robert, it's already getting printed. And I'm like, no, yeah. So I said, oh man, we'll just do our own thing then. So what I did is we had this album printed, 1,000 units. That's it. Okay. I found a distributor. Sounds Good. They were later to be part of the Enigma family. They did a good job. They distributed that album all over. It units in Europe, and something started happening. Hold on one second. I don't need to be rude.
Sure.
That's that. I noticed that there were a little bit more units out there than what I had printed. Okay. I started really getting into it. Back then, it was still East Germany and West Germany. They weren't unified yet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I had a guy that was very, very good, a journalist for an up-and-coming metal magazine, Mr. Hedgewald. Hergen, if I'm not pronouncing your name right, Hergen, I'm sorry. I think it was Hergen Hedgewald. He did an article on us in this German magazine, West Germany. My phone rings again, and I picked it up, and this time it's Mr. Hedgewald. Back then, we had an echo. When you were speaking, you hear it go, hello, hello, hello. Craziest interview I've done on the phone. And it was telling me how this album had a couple songs on it that were really good. The mixing was very poor, but that the first song, which was only like a minute and 40 seconds, was getting airplay. And I was like, wow, that's, you're really excited when you're young.
Yeah.
Okay. Even at any age, it's kind of like complimenting the hard work that you're doing. So I go and keep this relationship with him. And as time goes on, I start to realize that, wait a second, I sold all 1,000 of those. What am I doing seeing one of my albums and a picture given to me, mailed to me, with a gray cover? Not white, gray. And it's from Italy.
Oh, wow.
Never did that. In Mexico, they were really known for this back in the early days. They were bootlegging my album. Okay. They bootlegged a lot of people that they didn't think would be successful or even scratch the surface. 10,000 of them.
Wow.
Wow. It blew me away, Victor. I'm looking at this album that I, blood, sweat, and tears, I couldn't even afford to get a photo of us on it, be distributed all around the world. And all in these fanzines, like the magazines, like the Tape Trading Days. Okay. So found out that it had gotten bootlegged. And I'm at the time really, really freaked out because what could I do? Really? I get on the phone, I'm calling attorneys. Bingo. I'll call Miss Ellsworth. Best thing I did. Robert, don't do anything. They're paving the way for you.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to digest, Victor, because paving the way for me. Oh, I get it. All right. Okay.
Yeah, you're not making money, but you're
Exactly.
getting your name out there. You're
Right.
which is, I'm sure, is frustrating in one hand, but on the other hand, yeah, I mean, you've got worldwide distribution. That's pretty cool.
Very cool, Victor. Exactly.
Yeah, especially
So
for
I
a kid in
grew up,
California. Yeah.
you know, I grew up quick. I said to myself, okay, this is awesome. I contact my buddy in Germany, West Germany, and he's telling me, well, there's other copies too. And I'm like, now we're on the phone, you know, and there's an echo. Tap, 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 and he has an accent, which is hard to, boy, I'll tell you, man. But I basically got the gist of it. And I said, okay, I get a hold of the manager that we had at the time, this great guy who's now passed away, Bobby Beals. And Bobby was booking us with everybody. We'd opened for Hurricane, Helion,
Oh, nice.
all these bands that I would later find out that were going to be very successful. You know, Hurricane, wow. You know, I was listening to the radio going, nah, 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 I'm on to you. And I'm like, wow. You know, I played with those guys, right? Okay. So I figure, okay, we're playing a lot of places. We're playing at the Troubadour every 2 weeks for a year. We're like a house band.
Wow.
Very cool. Very cool, Victor. That's when I ran into the guys from Rat. I got to play with Carmen Apiece. Just phenomenal things, right? All because of this white record that went to be bootlegged in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was played a circuit of military bases. They were $800 a show. Great money. They took care of us and gave us, you know, a food at the, they have a certain word for it. It's like a commissary kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and I thought that was cool. That was really cool. Playing at Edwards Air Force Base.
Nice.
So one day I get a proposition from a record label. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, well, you know, this is just crap or whatever. It wasn't. It was a real record deal from a company that was KTEL Records. And I knew KTEL. And like I first said, I learned about distributing and all this from Nancy Ellsworth. So I knew my friends weren't getting close to the distribution that they could have gotten maybe by signing with, you know, the local labels and stuff. And like Brian Slagle was the only person that really pushed everybody and really did make bands what they were, but they didn't have the money. bands were getting signed with maybe $500 each. I found out I made more than each person in Guns N' Roses did for Appetite of Destruction.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's not including my mechanical rights that I sold for $16,000.
Right.
I made a lot of money. But to get to that money, Victor, this record contract sat in the back of my old Toyota for about a month. Yeah. We're at band practice at Port Who Needs Me, that's Port Hueneme military base here, at my drummer's house. My bass player helping me take my keyboards out, bring him in, looks down. What's this, Robert? He's on, picks it up, looks at it. He looks at me, he goes, what are you, fucking nuts? No? Yeah, that's beside the point, but I look right at him and I go, what do you mean? He goes, what are you doing with this in the back of your car? And I'm all, yeah, it's a record. Yeah, it's a record contract. Okay. Well, that man was Zach Dillon. He played on the album that we did do. They wanted to do Manipulator. And Angel Witch was signed to the same label. It was their first American distribution deal. So I decided, okay, I'm going to sign with this label. Okay, best thing that I could have done. That album right here, this one, Manipulator, it destroyed the image of the band, but the sales from this and the distribution worldwide has kept me in the F list, the algorithm.
Right.
Pennies we make, but still, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it's a great album.
You know,
that's what one thing I was going to ask you about was the sound on that album. You know, and the version I have obviously is a bootleg. I got it from a record store in San Francisco, online, but it's got such a cool vibe to it. So, and maybe I'm off base here, but when I listen to that album, what I think of is it has a really new wave of British heavy metal vibe, but then there's also, and this is all you, the keyboards, it also has this like Uriah Heep, Deep Purple 70s hard rock vibe too, which is just a killer, you know, combination of music in my opinion. Because all the other new wave of British, you know, and I love new wave of British heavy metal bands, but nobody sounded like that with the keyboard, with an organ, with this John Lord, Ken Hensley thing going on. And I don't know if that's what you were going for, but I think that's what you got.
You know what, Victor? You hit it on the nail on the head. Okay. When we opened for Keel in Las Vegas, Ron Keel had a little bit to do with Retrospect Records. They reissued our album, but I really didn't know how many people were into this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking to the guy from Rammstein, the keyboard player, the doctor, telling me that Dr. Deceiver influenced him.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, geez. So yes, I highly influenced by John Lord, Rick Wakeman, John Lord.
Nice.
And to find out though that these individuals from like Coldplay, the drummer came to the show. I guess he lives in Las Vegas too. I don't know. He still does, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it made me like, wow, I did something.
Yeah.
That, you know, I didn't know it at the time. And that's what the sad part about it is because if I would have not gotten into my car, drove under the influence and basically blew everything, who knows where Tyranny would be today.
Yeah.
Because the tour with Angel Witch, in support of Motorhead, which I played with as well. God, that would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I was hearing that NWO, new wave of BHM. I was like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know. Now I do. I would have released at least 4 to 5 more albums. I have well over 200 in my BMI catalog. But Fight for Freedom, which is on this, not the White Album, this one, was getting airplay.
Yeah.
I was getting publishing checks every quarter. It took off. It took off. I could not meet that expectation, what they wanted. I was in a hospital, crippled, being told, I will legally pay for this, Victor, if I do not fulfill my obligations that I overextended myself.
Yeah.
You know? So here I am now looking like some glammed out, excuse my language, you know, Fruit Loop, you know, but it pissed me off. I gotta say, it really did.
Yeah.
I have a hard time living with it. I get reminded though of it all the time when I see Facebook from my pub. We have a printout and it tells us every country that everything, every penny is accounted for. There's not one country in the whole world that's never on my quarterly list. That is achievement.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm proud of myself for doing. And I'm grateful. Not too many others get paid from Facebook every month.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Maybe it's only 30 cents, 60 cents, pennies. But it's so cool to see that, you know. For those of you that had seen my old YouTube page and are wondering what happened and everything, I'll give you a little brief rundown. I decided to speak up against the Big Eddie trunk, which is Viacom, and I got a cease and desist. My channel was removed immediately, and that's that. I can't really speak too much about it, but yeah, just Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Looney Tunes. I mean, you think that Eddie Trunk would have a little bit more to do with his time than little Robert Mirabilio.
Yeah.
But what you touched on, though, I'm very thankful for, Victor, because I didn't realize how many people I really did influence.
Yeah,
with my
definitely,
keyboard.
definitely. Well, and so after the accident, band kind of split up, and then you did some work for a short period of time. You worked with you were in a band, China White, right?
Yes.
Early 90s, very
Right.
early, like 90, 91.
Right.
And then you didn't, you know, at least in terms of album production or anything, nothing, you know, at least mainstream that we were seeing until 2007. So 20 years after
Right.
Manipulator, you did you got Tyranny back together, or you know, with
Yes.
with the original drummer, guitar player, and then your son was on bass, right?
Yes, David.
Yeah,
He
cool.
is so talented. He Billy Ellsworth says it the best. It's a chip that apple did not fall far from the tree there.
Nice.
No. Yeah.
What was the catalyst for, you know, getting Tyranny going again?
Money.
Okay.
Money. Be honest. Money. I mean, you know, I was offered a good sum of money. And before the money got involved, it was my son. David really wanted to learn about music. And boy, I shoved it down his throat. And the kid's phenomenal, but it was my son. He really wanted to know about what was happening. And I'm glad that he was able to play a few shows that were substantial. The one in Las Vegas where the Coldplay guy was there. Rammstein.
Oh yeah.
Ron Keel. Wow. it's a bummer because I have 2 shows from 86 and 88 that a gentleman by the name of Louis Elovitz, he has them, and I've been asking him for it. He said, and this has been going on over a year. Okay. He told me he needs to have them digitally. I don't know. I just feel like I'm being blown a bunch of smoke.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm upset because I would love to have those shows. The one at Gazzari's was a nice show. The other one at the El Camino High School was even really cool. And I just don't have any of that because, you know, the fires we had in Malibu burned everything.
Yeah.
And I had everything in a box. I'm not the smartest person when it comes down to the computers, Victor. Obviously, you know, I'm admit it. And I didn't have anything transferred. Boy, I wish, and I hope, you know, that when you put this out, that Victor, look, I really hope that Louis can see this and see I'm genuine, and that there are people that do want to see what Tyranny did.
Yeah, totally.
And, you know,
That
gets off his butt and gets these converted to his digital file or whatever, and gives me my fucking videos.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I really want them to be seen. People have asked me. So during that time, that's how Tyranny got back together. We could have put out a really good album. There's a song called Final Romance that's on Manipulation Continues, that when I had my original YouTube page, it was 11,500 views. I think there's only like 1,200 now, but a lot of people started coming out, and I noticed they were young. And I was like, wow, oh, that's cool. Now, I don't know if it's because my son's age, but something was happening there, you know? And there's a few tracks that are on that album that, like Rude Awakening, The Vigil, the cover right here, this is from an Ozfest. What I did is I took the skull, I blacked out everything else. I put this chick in the skull's mouth, okay? But it's originally that's what it was. I used an Ozfest promo CD.
Yeah.
But there's a few tracks on here that are really good.
Yeah, yeah. It was
and
well, and you guys
that's why.
And you re-recorded FFF, right?
Yes. Yes, we did. We recorded that. We re-recorded a couple of them. I think Echo Away From Here, and FFF, yeah. Fight for Freedom. Very good. That's right.
And then in 2012, you did Redemption or Peace.
Yes.
Also with same band with your son. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So that was, God, it's insane to think that was almost 10 years ago.
Right.
Time flies.
And
do you foresee another Tyranny album? Is that going to happen? Are we going to see another Tyranny album?
yes, you are.
Awesome.
Yes, you are. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reach out to somebody that I spoke to on the phone. Brian Slagle had him call me, and I decided to talk about the Mentors instead of Tyranny, and that's Bill Metoyer, because Bill Metoyer is phenomenal. And there's gonna be no cost, meaning it doesn't matter. My son really wants it. He wants to have an album that's been produced, mixed, everything top of the line. And we have right now an EP that's going to consist of 5 songs, and then we're going to put a double record out.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's going to have, that's going to be what I haven't no title for it yet, but yes, there is going to be something going on.
Excellent. That's exciting.
You know, thank you, because like I said, I didn't realize the amount of fans that there are out there. I mean, when I played like 25 shows with the Mentors, which, no, I'm not into that type of stuff, ladies. I don't believe in rape rock. So right there and then, I'm not going to spend a second of this interview promoting that band. No offense, Mr. Roy, but that's just the way the dice roll. I'm not like that. So I really don't want people to think that. And I recorded 54 songs with Steve last year and a half ago.
Wow.
We were going to put that out, but when I started to see the way the politics were and what was happening, I said, no, this is not me. I'm not going to do this. So what I am going to do is, most likely, I'm going to reach out to Mr. Matoyer, because I do want Bill to do it, and have him produce it. I'd like to see that come by at least early 2023 or sooner.
Nice.
I've been getting asked by a lot of people, Robert, and it's hard because, you know, I really can see something that I did that I had no idea. Like, but hey, I miss it, man.
Yeah. Will you, do you think you'll, I mean, I know it's a weird time right now with the pandemic and everything, but once you get to the point where the album comes out, are you going to tour? Is the band going to tour? Are you going to do some shows?
I would like to do what my son always has told me to do. Dad, back the tour, get a van, and let's go out and let's play. Yes, cool. I would definitely like to. That's something that I do have a very good guitar player that played on Redemption or Peace, Ed Jimenez. He lives in San Francisco, by the way. I'm going to get him on board. He's phenomenal. I look at him as like an Yngwie Malmsteen, Joe Satriani, and Steve Vai.
Cool.
So he got that type of vibe going.
Yeah, kind of a shredder, old school 80s shredder. Nice. Right. Love that.
And then as far as drummers go, well, the door's open for Matt anytime. He, at this time in his life, like, I think he's retired right now. I would like to get him to have some original member nucleus of the band. Yeah. You know, it'd be limited shows. I can say that. For sure, Frisco, San Francisco, LA, San Diego. Go to Las Vegas, drop down, hit Phoenix, go to Tucson, do the horn, you know. And I'm right now, you got me motivated.
Cool.
And
you have to come to Salt Lake.
You know, hey,
you got to come to my area.
You know, you got me motivated.
So, question for you. So we talked before, and I want to ask you about this. So this T right here, I think you.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
You have a cool story about that T.
Yeah, that is a very cool story. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. Wow. I could never thank Twisted Sister, Dee Snider, enough. We're at this Bakersfield show. It was Twisted Sister, Y&T, and Lita Ford.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. My next door neighbor was the program director of KZOZ 93.3, yeah, on the Central Coast. He would get tickets and everything for shows. He loved Tyranny. Robert, you got to come with me to Bakersfield. I'm like, dude, why do I want to go to Bakersfield? Yeah. Well, I went, and I'm thankful I did. I'm backstage. The whole band is there, Y&T. late AJ Perro, I went up to him and I'm like screamed in his face. D heard me. Big tall guy. D comes walking over and you know, I'm like shaking his hand and everything. And I told him about what dilemma I had with Tyranny. That look, my friend in Tyrant, Greg May, they use the old English T. I go, I can't use that, and I don't know what to do. He says, use RT. And I'm like, eyes as big as a little girl or kid, you know, in a candy store. And that's the story with the T. The
Nice.
T came from Twisted Sister with D. Snyder's Loving. Here you go.
That's so cool.
Yep,
So cool.
it is. Yeah, I have the album that they gave me and he signed too in the other room, the Stay Hungry one.
Nice. Great album.
Yeah, it's a good little story about that. Yeah, so that's how that T got started.
Right.
And boy, thank you for bringing that up. Really, I would have.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
That is so cool. Yes. If I ever see D, or D might see this, thank you so much, Mr. Snyder. You made this little guy happy.
Nice.
You know,
that's cool. That's cool.
Very cool.
Let's. I mean, we talked a little bit about, you know, and I kind of, you know, we talked a little bit about your influences, you know, like John Lord, and but let's go back in time. How did you get started in music? What was, you know?
Well, my family is really, I'm related to a very big Hollywood family. And my uncle had won an Academy Award.
Oh, wow.
And I was brought up with the Bridges and the Sheens, Martin Sheen, and Charlie Sheen was the best man in my wife in our wedding.
Oh, wow.
Charlie. Yeah. And what happened is I was at a party. My mom was always the hostess with the mostest.
Nice.
There was a big circle of people. And there was one black man, African American. That man was Jimi Hendrix.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And
Really?
this little kid was playing congos. They were smoking reefer, and he was getting left out. He would get the roach. And I remember him getting upset and then looking at me. What is this kid doing making this? He was pissed. I was hitting the bongos, right? Well, there was a piano there. I walk over to the piano, and I think I'm about, see, he passed away in 70 or 71, 70. I started playing the piano at 5 years old. It had always been in the family, that piano. My next door neighbor was a piano teacher. So she made a deal with me. If I would learn classical music, she would teach me a Led Zeppelin song right from the book. I can read music and write music. I play 7 instruments.
Oh, well.
The piano came into my life, Victor, I would say words. That's how long I've been playing. I'm 58. I've been playing for 53 years.
Wow.
I took 14 years of classical theory. I started playing the guitar, the violin, the drums. I mean, fluently, like I had a drum set at the same time I had a piano.
Cool.
But I liked Deep Purple. I loved just listening to Uriah Heep, bands that nobody would listen to at my age.
Right.
I went and got Who's Next, that Who's album, when it first came out, you know, and I was, God, I don't know, I'm young, really young, right? I started having this overwhelming drive. One day, my mother calls me and tells me, Robert, you need to come down to Michael's house. Now, Michael was a producer, and in his house was John Simos. He was a drummer for Peter Frampton. And there was a man with very long blonde hair, with a beard. playing the piano. That was Rick Wakeman.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And wow. Yes. I started learning Starship Trooper. It stuck with me. And I wanted to emulate Jimi Hendrix on the guitar that had made me, feel very, I don't know what the word would be called at that young of an age yelling at me, but
Right.
I got his point across. But anyway, I love you, Jimmy, and rest in peace, because that was the catalyst to get me playing. How I could take my keyboard, play it on the ground, how I could put it behind my head, do what Richie Blackmore would do, and do that on the keyboard, but with a Rick Wakeman, John Lord influence.
Cool.
It started very young for me.
Nice.
So with those influences, my neighbor being a Juilliard, a well-known piano teacher, seeing a gift in me, and then having the family that I had grown up with in the entertainment business, everything started like a domino.
Right.
To where I was, okay, that's how I met Bill Ellsworth from Flashback. And I got to meet his mother, which, God rest her soul, Nancy Ellsworth, who was married to Lenny Stogel, that did Cal Jam. Big people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was, wow, I love this. This is what I want to do.
That's cool.
And that's
Cool.
kind of the beginning to where we're at now.
Nice.
I mean,
And you teach piano lessons now, right?
Yes, I have, and I still do. Yes.
That's cool.
My
And
clients are really
anybody's
good.
and if anybody's interested, you have a Facebook page where they can
Yes.
contact you and learn piano.
Right.
That's cool. That's really cool. That's great.
Well, you got to look at it as, if I wasn't competing with Harry Connick Jr., I mean, oh my God, you can see these commercials that come up, and they're on TV too. No, I don't have that kind of money to have TV commercials and YouTube commercials. And I mean, they're everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would have gotten a lot more students, but I'm grateful for the base of students that I have. I'm thankful for the students I've taught in the past. Howie Mandel's daughter, Jackie Mandel, to John Farron, the owner of Panavision that does every movie.
Yeah.
His ex-wife and I were fiancés, and we were going to get married, and I was able to start teaching a lot of people. So I'm thankful that I was able to teach people, but yes, I do teach. It's kept me a little busy. But to get Tyranny going again would be my main goal.
Cool. And you also mentioned, we had talked before, and you had mentioned you're doing some soundtrack work, right?
Yes, that's
Cool.
right. That's right.
So
A few of my songs you can hear in movies.
Cool.
It's very trippy when you hear 10 or 15 seconds of something and you're like, that's
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
It is.
On the big
And
screen.
I would like to do that right now and submit that. But, I have got a few more personal things in my life that I need to get straightened out with first. And then I'm going to move on and start recording.
Cool.
Go back to where, this all started from, the roots of it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. Tyranny does have its own sound.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of want to keep it that way. I've been, like, in some art reviews and a few articles I've read how I sound like Rob Halford with meets Ozzy Osbourne with my vocals.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't see that, but that's cool. It's something. So I'm really, really interested to see what the future does have right now. And I would definitely like to get this EP done.
Cool.
And I am going to give it to Metal Blade first. That's the
Nice.
first person I'm going to go to is Brian,
Excellent.
because
Yeah.
Brian has always been a supporter of mine
Right.
throughout the the years.
Yeah, I think
And
the
feel
world.
like,
Yes, I think the world definitely needs some more tyranny in our lives, yeah, especially right now.
Thank you.
That would be definitely a good thing to have some new tyranny music out there.
Yes, definitely.
So let me ask you one more question, and then we'll finish up the interview here.
Real quick, I want you to
Oh, yeah,
think about that question. I just want to say before we finish, I'd like to do a little bit of live performance for you on the keyboard.
That would be amazing. That would
All
be.
right.
I would love to see that. Yeah, that would
All
be awesome.
right, that would be cool.
So I don't know if you're a beer drinker. So my blog, I do craft beer with metal and hard rock, pairings. So even if you don't drink, but if you're just hanging out, you're chilling, Robert's hanging out on a Saturday night, what album do you put on? What drink do you, whether it's beer or water or whatever?
I drink a little wine,
Cool.
because of the medication that I take. I can't drink. I haven't drinking in a long time, 30 something years.
Oh, good.
But I do drink, and I love a little wine. And the type of music, like if I was to put on an album, I've been listening lately to like Godsmack,
Oh, okay.
1,000 miles per hour, get this shit louder. I mean,
Yeah.
listening to that, and pretty much not trying to listen to too much, because as hard as it may be for some artists as myself to say, hey, we're not influenced by anybody. Bullshit. We
Right.
all are influenced from somebody, and I personally try to keep that to a minimum, Victor, because then I'll have myself emulating somebody else, because I'll think that, oh, this is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Here we're going to go. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking their time and listening to this, and thank Victor. How do I pronounce your last name?
Maritzis.
Maritzis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victor Maritzis, for having me.
Thank you, Robert. This has been great.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I'm going to leave everybody with a little bit of music here.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Right on, dude. Thank you.